Dear students of class 11, today my topic is the Browning version written by Terence Redigan. It is my second lecture pertaining to this topic. In the first lecture, I have discussed with you the theme of this lesson, and I have already introduced you with all the four characters in story. That is Tableau, the teenage boy who highlights his attitude towards his teachers, who passes comments about Mr. Crockerhead and other teachers. And there is Mr. Frank, the young teacher who is teaching science, who is not motivated to teach, and who is not avoiding the laws of this institution like other teachers who don't take their job seriously. And there is Mr. Crocker Harris, who is strict, who is tough taskmaster, who is dedicated, and who is taking his job seriously, who is duty conscious, and who is law abiding, who obeys the school rules and regulations. And besides obeying, he tries to implement them in each and every way. And then there is Miss Crocker Harris, Miss Millie Crocker Harris, who is wife of Mr. Crocker Harris, the middle-aged senior teacher. And then we came to know that there is envy between these two groups of teachers in the institution. Everywhere. Because the teachers who are duty conscious, they are being followed by their teachers, by their students. They are being obeyed by their students. Whereas those teachers who are not motivated to teach, who are not dedicated, who seek work, these teachers are being made fun of by their students, and due to their cheapness, and they are being used to as toys or dollars by the students. This lesson began with a conversation, with a dialogue, when Frank introduced himself to Mr. Frank, the young science teacher, while sitting in the school alone waiting for his teacher, Mr. Crocker Harris, who has kept him in, who was willing to stay in the school even after schooling hours. The boy was waiting for him. Though he had not arrived, Mr. Frank started to converse with the boy. They began to talk about Mr. Crocker Harris. And it was during his conversation, during his talk, that the boy began to criticize his teacher. And it was during this conversation, the boy began to imitate his teacher. His teacher before the young teacher, Mr. Frank. Mr. Frank pretended to get angry. But in the heart of hearts, he was feeling happy because he was having envy towards his senior. So he asks the child to imitate again, to repeat again. It is page number 52. of a textbook. Open your textbook, listen carefully, and try to comprehend. What was that Crocker has? What was that Crocker has said to you? Just repeat it, would you? First, Frank took a newspaper, started to open it, began to look in the liners of newspaper. Just to show the boy that he is not interesting. To hear ill will, to hear bad comments about his senior colleague. But in the heart of hearts, he was feeling happy due to his envy towards his senior colleague. That is why he tells the boy that what was that Crocker had said to you? Just repeat it. Would you? Teplo, imitating again. Teplo imitates now. Again repeats. Tries to imitate. My dear Teplo, I have given you exactly what you deserve. No less and certain no more. Frank, looking fewer, not in the least like him. Read your nice Itchless and be quiet. Tableau with dislike Itchless. Frank, look, what time did Mr. Crocker tell you to be here? Tableau 6:30, sir. Frank, well, here he is 10 minutes late. Why wouldn't you cut? You could skillfully go before break. Now, Frank tells the boy that he has waited for a lot of time. What was the time fixed by Mr. Crocker has with him to be here? Frank says, Tableau says that Mr. Harris Crocker had asked him that he would be there at 6:30. 6:30 p.m. And on hearing this, Frank tells the teenage boy Tableau that it is now 6:40. Mr. Harris Crocker is late by 10 minutes. He encouraged the boy to go away and play golf outside the ground till his teacher would come. But I already told you that the teachers who are dedicated and who are really having missionary zeal they are obeyed by their students, even in their absence. The teacher is not there, the teacher is away, the boy is waiting, the other teacher tells him that he should cut. Cut means go away without permission. Cut. He should cut. Go away without permission. And please go before law. The boy answers. Tableau answers. Really, shortcut? Oh no, I couldn't cut. The boy replies to Mr. Frank that he couldn't do so. He couldn't go and play golf without permission. His teacher had asked him to remain in the school, to remain in the class till his arrival. And he is supposed to be here. He couldn't move. He couldn't cut, means couldn't go away without permission. Cut the crock. Mr. Crocker Harris, I shouldn't think it is ever been done in the whole time he has been there. God knows what would happen if I did. He would probably follow me home or something. I must admit I envy him. The effect he seems to have on you boys in the farm. You all seem scared to death of him. What does he do? Beat you all or something? Though Mr. Frank encouraged the boy to go out and play till Mr. Croc arrives, but the boy refuses. And tells Mr. Frank, that he couldn't do so. He couldn't do so. Because if he could go out and play golf till the arrival of his teacher, God knows better what his fate would be. And there is probability that the teacher will come and follow him home or something. On hearing this, Frank tells the boy, I must admit, I envy him. Frank accepts that he envies Mr. Crocker Harris. The effect he seems to have on you boys in the farm. I envy him. The effect he seems to have on you boys in the classroom. You all seem scared to death of him. What does he do? Beat you all or something? Mr. Frank tells Tableau that why you are scared to death. Why you follow him even in his absence? What does he do to the boys? Is he slapping them? Is he beating them? Or is he doing some physical torture? Or is he using corporal punishment, etc.? Tableau replies, no, Lord, no. He is not sadist like one or two of the others. Now, it is during this conversation, The boy tells Teplo, besides criticizing his teacher, the boy criticizes all teachers of the institution. He tells Frank that my teacher, Mr. Crocker Harris, doesn't beat us. He doesn't slap us. He doesn't abuse us. And admits that he is not a sadist. Sadist means one who sadist. One who gets pleasure out of giving pain. He doesn't get pleasure by slapping, etc. He doesn't get pleasure. He is not having feelings. Though tells Mr. Frank that there are teachers, one or two teachers in the school who are sadists, who beat students, who torture students, and out of inflicting pain, they get pleasure, they are pleased. Mr. Crocker has accepted his rule. He is not sadist. Frank, I beg your pardon. Teplo, a sadist sir, is someone who gets pleasure out of giving pain. Frank, indeed, but I think you want on to say that some other masters. Teplo, well, of course, there are, sir. I don't mention names, but you know them as well as I do. Of course, I know most masters think we boys don't understand a thing. But sir, you are different. You are young, well, comparatively anyway, and you are silent. You must know what sadism is. Frank, after a pause, good Lord, what are others our schools coming to? Tableau, anyway, the Craig isn't a sadist. That is what I am saying. He wouldn't be so frightening if he were, because at least it could show he had some feeling, but he hasn't. He is all shriveled up. Shriveled up means having no feelings. Inside like a nut. And he seems to hate people like him. It is funny that I don't know any other master who doesn't like being hated. Now they begin to discuss about the personality of Mr. Crocker Harris. Teplo makes fun of Mr. Crocker Harris by saying that it would have been better if he were a sadist. But he isn't a sadist, as it would mean he had some feelings. But he is hard like a nut. He is heartless. He possesses no feelings at all. He feels that Crocker Harris is all dried up and hates that people like him. Tableau finds it funny that in spite of all the crackiness, he somehow likes Mr. Crocker Harris. Frank, and I don't know any boy who doesn't use that for his own proposals. Well, it is natural, sir, but not with the prop, Mr. Crocker. Frank and Tableau. During this conversation, Tableau tells us about the personality of Mr. Crocker Harris. He tells Frank that Mr. Crocker Harris isn't a sadist. It was better if he were a sadist. Because a sadist is having feelings. But his Crocker Harris is like a nut. He is having no feelings at all. And he is having another trait, that is, he doesn't like people. He hates those people who like him. That means he doesn't like flattery. Though the students try to befriend him, they try to use him, but he doesn't get used of it, like other teachers. Now Frank tells the boy that all the boys try to use teachers for their own purpose. Teplo says that, sir, it is natural, but not the crop. Crop is not being used by the students. He is accepting this rule. Frank, I am sure you are exaggerating. Now, while hearing the discussion about personality, Frank sees that the boy is telling about some good traits. He is passing some good comments about his senior colleague. He tells Tableau that he is exaggerating. Means he is making moles. He is making mountains out of molehills. He is mixing things, speaking high of his teacher. Tableau replied that, no sir, I am not. And for the other day he made one of his classical jokes. Of course, anybody laughed because nobody laughed because nobody understood it, myself including. Still I knew he would mean it as funny, so I laughed out of solid, ordinary, common politeness and feeling a bit sorry for him for having made a poor joke. Now I can remember that what the joke was, but suppose I make it. Now you laugh, sir. Frank laughs. Tableau in gentle, throaty voice. Tableau, you laughed at my little joke, I noticed. I must confess that I am pleased at the advance your little has made. Since you are so readily, since you so readily have understood what the rest of the forum did not, perhaps now you would be good enough to explain it to them, so that they too can share your pleasure. Now, Tableau recalls an incident when Mr. Crocker Harris made one of his classical jokes. It was written, nobody laughed. Out of sheer courtesy, Tableau laughed at the joke. This proved to be a bad move by Tableau. How? Because Mr. Crocker Harris complimented him by saying that Tableau's written had improved greatly. Mr. Crocker Harris then asked Tableau to explain the joke to the whole class. Just then, what happened? The door happened and Miss Millie Crocker Harris entered. Tableau the boy during the conversation with the young teacher, Mr. Frank, discussing about the personality of Mr. Crocker Harris. Discussed the incident which was held in the class, that a classical joke was said by Mr. Crocker Harris in the class, there too in Latin language. None understood, so none laughed, except Tableau. He narrated this incident to Frank. When Tableau laughed, he laughed out of sheer curiosity that this classical joke was meant for fun. And this proved a bad situation for Tableau then, because Crocker Harris told Tableau that since his written had improved, he had understood, so he must explain this joke to whole class. When he was discussing this incident with Mr. Frank, just then Millie Harris Crocker enters. The door of upright is pushed open and Millie Crocker Harris enters. She is a thin woman in her late 30s, rather more smartly dressed than the general run. General run means normal group of school masters' wives. She is wearing a cap, means shawl, and carries a shopping basket. She closes the door and then stands by the screen watching Tableau and Frank. It is a few seconds before they notice her. Frank, come along. Tableau moves slowly about the desk. Do not be so foolish as to keep a good joke to yourself. Tell the others. He breaks up suddenly, noticing Millie. Oh Lord! Frank turns quickly and seems infinitely relieved at seeing Millie. Oh, hello, Millie. Without expressing hello, she comes down to the signboard and puts her basket on it. Tableau, moving up to left of Frank, whispering frantically, do you think she heard? Frank shaking his head comfortably. Millie takes off her cap and hangs it on the ball stand. I think she did. She was sitting there quite a time. Tableau, if she did, she tells him, there goes my remorse. Remorse means promotion to next class. Frank, nonsense. He crosses the fireplace. Millie takes the basket from the sideboard, moves above the table and puts the basket on it. Now, author begins tell us about the characteristics of Millie Crocker Harris, who is wife of Mr. Crocker. She is thin woman in her late 30s, smartly dressed unlike other school masters' wives. She comes in unnoticed. Tableau was still imitating Mr. Crocker Harris when Mr. Frank noticed her and broke off suddenly. Tableau gets fanatic and asks Frank if Millie, Clark, or